Welcome to BattleTech in the Morning with Captain Nips. I'm Captain Nips, and it is Monday morning. Another week has arrived, and I am refreshed and renewed from the weekend's rest. And it is time to bash some robots into each other. The BattleTech Backer Beta, still in Beta Phase 2, still doing the single player. And I promise for those of you that are tired of watching me play single player and would actually like to see more of multiplayer, I will be doing that. I'm going to try and get to that this week. But I had a thought.
Welcome, Commander.
I had a thought after the last video that is worth investigating. So normally when I set up these matches, either I'm doing something specific or just throwing down. My typical approach to pilot choices has been click the pilot, click the gunnery tab, find the pilots with the best gunnery skills. And for the large part, that has been a successful approach. But I noticed on Friday, when I was playing with the solo Punch King in Paradise, that by itself, the Atlas, with Paradise as its pilot, who has a tactics of 3, and this is the important part, his sensor bubble was so small that it basically was had no more distance, had no more range than his own eyeballs, which made trying to set up for the enemy approach a little bit more difficult. So I thought to myself, what does it look like if you take a series of pilots that have the best tactics scores? So today, what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to set up a lance, and I'm actually going to just take one of the pre-mades, because what I want to accomplish here is a reasonable balance of mechs. So we got heavy, medium, medium, light. I don't want my light to be a locust again. Let's see, mediums, and that's light. And Orion, Trebuchet, Centurion, Urban Mech. Sure, let's go with this. Let's go with this. And let's pit this against the... These boats going to be missiles. Let's skip that. Recon? Yeah, okay. Let's put it against the Recon. And what I'm going to do here is pick all the pilots with the best tactics, because what I'm curious about is how much leverage can I get. And actually, let me take this back. The question I was going to try and answer is how much leverage can I get out of having very large, very good sensor bubbles. And actually, I feel like if you really want to lean into it, let's do this instead. Let's go to medium support, because indirect fire LRMs, or even direct fire LRMs if the lines of sight are clear, I think are going to be the thing that large sensor bubbles leverage the best. The other thing you're going to want is, and fortunately we do have one, is at least one pilot with sensor lock. But I still want... Actually, that's another thing worth checking. Witness. Okay, Witness has tactics 8. Great. So we're off to the races right there. Witness stays exactly in that commando's cockpit. Apex, what do you replace you with? So let's take a look at the tactics pilots here. Got Mockingbird with Bulwark and sensors, Arclight with Master Tactician and sensors, Showboat with evasion and not quite as good sensors. So then we're dipping down into the tactics 5 bucket. Which, nope, tactics 4. It seems, and it's real rough, that if you want to pilot with good tactics, you are inevitably giving up good gunnery skills. Oof, that's rough. You know what? We're going to run this out anyway. Also, catapult going one initiative step early is hysterical. And I think just for giggles, and to give us at least one pilot that can hit the broadside of a barn, we're going to take Kraken. And him being in the Centurion, that's alright. You know, it probably makes more sense for him to be in the catapult. I'll leave it for now. Let's see what happens. I'll just leave this whole mess of enemy lance alone. And let's see. What do we want to play on? Let's go to... Let's see. We played on Death Valley with the Punch King. And before that, I think we were in the stacks. Played some Alpine River. And let's just go to the stacks. Rainy day. And let's get going. So I'm super curious if Paradise's sensor bubble with a tactics of 3 was basically no further than his own eyes could see. How much extra distance can we get with good tactical-minded pilots, tactics-minded pilots? So let's just take a quick look before we go scooting off into the distance. Here's Witness and his commando. And you can... It's hard to do without moving him. You can kind of see his sensor bubble fades off probably 3 or 4 movement steps off into past where his visibility bubble is right now. And actually that's the visibility bubble of the entire team, so he's actually spotting with his sensors a bit further than Mockingbird can see with her eyes. The other thing I'd like to do in this match is maybe pick a different place to start a fight than we have been doing in every video ever. Oh, so many things to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. I'm going to hover. I'm going to hover relatively near my own spawn. Because what I want to do is I want to take these mechs with their sensor bubbles, kind of spread them out, and see if we can figure out whether giving yourself an early sensor spread is a useful thing. I am imagining that since I took the fire support lance, it's going to be useful because somebody is going to get sensor lock, and then we're going to rain LRMs on something. The other thing I'd like to know is, can the pilots with tactics, and we've seen this before, it's just like how much information can the pilots with tactics give us once they show up in the sensor bubble? You know, sometimes when I've played matches, I've had pilots with poor tactics, and you hover over the mech in the distance while it's still out of line of sight, and it doesn't show you practically any information. You know, it's a mech. A step up from that would be it's a light, medium, heavy, or assault mech. I think one time I actually saw a match, or I played a match where it told me what the mech was before I saw it without having to use sensor lock.
Waiting on you, Commander. Waiting. Venting heat. Copy that,
I probably could have rearranged my guys a little bit more this turn, but yeah, see, I want to see where we start to get sensor bubbles. So this is definitely coming off of Witness because he's the furthest one forward. We know it's a mech that's 25 tons, so even better than just a light mech. Light, medium, heavy assault. We know it is 25 tons, so we know that's for sure their commando. 55 tons, this could literally be anything in their lance.
What can I do for you?
So, what are we going to do with this information? think what I'm going to do with this information is I'm going to move my commando up a little bit. And I want to see what else I can see. Okay. Staying together pretty well. Alright. Now we have a really good idea of visual field versus sensor field. Here's Witness's commando. His visual field only extends to here. And his sensor bubble extends all the way out to here. That's pretty good. That's a lot of distance. That's probably about like 10 to 12 movement steps, I think, that's significant. That is a lot. That is a lot of range. It is worth noting that I went through and poked through the game files to try and figure out if there was a difference in the different mech chassis in terms of sensors. And in a cursory search of the files, I could not see a difference. There is a sensor range multiplier factor on the game files for each of the mech definitions, but they're all set to 1.0, and who knows if they're actually being who knows if that variable is actually being used. So let's do something about this this whole thing. Got a lot of medium mechs. Let's pick the one out in the open. Which one are you? Da, da, da. You are Shadowhawk. I think the best opportunity here is going to be to... Wow, I can actually get a kind of direct line of sight with a bit of obstruction due to the curvature of the Earth. Intercontinental ballistic LRMs is what we're firing. Kind of just want them to be indirect fire, but maybe not. Let's do this. Let's move here. These are actually going to be in the long range bracket of the LRMs, so the numbers aren't going to be very good. Yeah, 40%. But we'll take our shots. Yeah, kind of spraying missiles everywhere. We're... In terms of trying to leverage our very long radar sight lines, these LRMs are gonna... One, they're probably our best option, but also two, and let's just show this off. So large laser, medium, medium, small, LRM 10. So I'm just got the LRM 10s up. Here's our optimal range. Nice white. Bright white band there. Here's our effective maximum range out here, and then can't hit things beyond it. So this guy is just at the edge of LRM optimal range. We'll just keep throwing missiles at him. Now, it would not surprise me come time to play the campaign when that shows up next year, early next year, cross your fingers, early next year, that we will get some options in the form of the mech lab and in the form of salvage we find out on the battlefield, or in that we receive in payments for jobs done, that we get different sensor suites to install on our mechs, because I'm starting to see right now that the sensor ranges that we're dealing with here, even with pilots with good tactics, it's not... What is it doing for us right now? It's letting us get some early chip damage in with indirect fire. That guy stood out in the open way too long, by the way.
Waiting on you, Commander.
So now we can skedaddle our way back.
Got it.
pull our commando back. And let's just continue to sensor lock this guy. Oh, that's not sensor lock, that is brace. Haha, it's early on a Monday. Can you tell? I'm making mistakes already. Anyway, what I was saying is, if we get the opportunity in the campaign game to get things like salvage or get things like payment rewards that come in the form of better sensor suites that we could equip to our mechs. Right now, just based on the beta, it's hard to see exactly what real strong utility that gets you. We can spot things at a distance. We're going to be doing that in a second. Kraken with his middling to good tactics. Tactics 5. So we can just sensor lock this guy. I could foresee a scenario in campaign play where if you have very good sensor bubbles and you can spot enemy mechs and enemy units before they see you, and you can kind of skirt around them and play a kind of stealth game. You know, like for instance, if the mission parameters were starting at point A down here and you need to get to point B over here and you need to navigate some patrolling enemy units in the interim or in the middle, and you use your sensor suite to try and keep tabs on things, it will require a much larger map than what we have here available in the beta. But I could see them doing some sort of scenario play like that.
Commander?
But as of this second, in the middle of this match, aside from giving yourself the ability to fire some very, very long-range shots with your LRMs,
10-4.
like so. Oh, here we go. The option of having a team of sensor jockeys doesn't really seem to get you much.
Let's move.
I mean, make no mistake, standing back and throwing LRMs at things like this, even with relatively poor two-hit numbers, like the 40% that was the opening salvo of this match, you're getting damage in early. You're starting the damage race early. BattleTech is a game of two things when it comes down to it. It's a game about the damage race. Can you put more damage on the enemy than they put on you? And equipment damage. Can you damage their more powerful pieces of equipment more quickly than they do the same to you? Because both of those things lead to enemy mechs going down much faster and before your mechs, which means you win. Now, granted, there are a lot of other things. There are a lot of other aspects to the game, and I'm not going to make that same mistake twice. You know, position is important, range banding is important, leveraging terrain is important. But by themselves, all of those aspects of the game, they don't out and out win you games. It's who's doing damage to what, and are you doing damage faster than your opponent to targets that matter. So speaking of targets that matter, just back up a little bit here.
Understood.
Continue to keep our enemies in the optimum range band for the LRMs. I'm going to skip the mediums at this point because I don't want to generate so much heat. Let our missiles do the work.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that guy kicked that building just straight down that hill like it was a playground ball.
Standing by.
How rude. 80-75. Seems alright.
Copy that, Commander.
This is gonna hurt. AC5 crit on the Shadowhawk.
Critical hit.
It's only got 4 structure left in the center torso, so Kraken should easily clean house on this Shadowhawk. I think we can just get the job done from where we're standing. Click once, get our arc. Click twice.
Roger.
Click on the guy. It's obstructed, but 90-80. That's fine.
Firing.
Like, 2 of these missiles need to strike true. Oh, hey, look at that. Gets another turn. Unfortunate. So it has moved and guarded. Also, it's worth noting that their team has split. It's also worth noting I have lost sensor trace on the 4th mech. Witness. Witness, what are you doing? What is going on? Alright. Time to start thinking very tactically, and as witnessed last week in one of my videos, it is time to start paying attention to movement modifier pips. Yay! Also forests. Forests are good to keep track of. I'm not going to get line of sight with him. So moving forward with the commando is a fool's errand. Let's just move down here. 3 movement pips. Turn to face upfield in case something decides to take a shot at him. We'll get our cover damage modifier. I can eliminate 2 of the evasion pips, movement modifier pips on the Shadowhawk here with sensor lock, which is rapidly becoming the best reason to use sensor lock. Since movement modifiers are so prevalent now, being able to spend a turn to remove at least 10% penalty from your targets is actually a really good reason to use sensor lock. Let's see. Kind of in a weird spot here.
Waiting for orders.
Because here we go. Trebuchet, and now we're into minimum range on LRMs. How about we go down here? Hey, there we go. Turn and face upfield.
Rolling.
So we make our kind of tactical withdrawal here so that we can continue to leverage the LRMs. This is front side, and if 2 of the missiles hit center torso, that Shadowhawk dies. And there we go. Whoa, whoa. We only needed 2 to hit the center torso, but the rest of them seemingly hit the left torso, and there is not much left of that Shadowhawk. Kintaro, though, is going to start to work my catapult here with its own missile barrage. Look at that stability damage. Wow. Just right up into unsteady. Kintaro's continuing to prove that they are no joke. Let's check. Which commando is this? This is the SRM variant. Oof. Okay, so apparently we're fighting against the all SRM team. We need to make some moves. I can melee this guy for 70 at 75%, or what kind of numbers are we dealing with? Not great. LRMs are going to be garbage. But I've got multi-target. Kraken's got multi-target, so we can make something out of this. Let's try... Can we get both? Yes, we can get both. So let's do this. Turn and move.
On my way.
Move and turn. Let's throw multi-target on this. A. Kintaro B. Let's make that LRMs B, which that's good. I like that. Small laser apparently still somehow out of range here. which is unfortunate. But let's go ahead and take this shot.
Confirming. Multiple targets.
Nice. Nice. Light up that guy's center torso. Here go the missiles into the Kintaro. Kind of just chipping away. Great start on that commando, though. Hello, indirect, direct, out of line of sight fire.
Standing by.
Okay. Arc light in our catapult. Ideally. Cannot reverse because I am oh, that's sprint. Ha ha ha. Cannot sprint because I'm unsteady. I can reverse. I don't necessarily need to reverse, but I need to address the impending knockdown that's coming her way. This is tough. Let's do... Alright, I'm going to have to brace to remove the stability damage. I want to do that because I don't want to let this Kintaro just kind of brutalize my catapult. When I brace, I will get cover, essentially. So I'm going to take the water for now. I know it doesn't matter that much, but because she wasn't already running up high on the heat scale. Commando puts another 2 pips of
I'm taking heavy hits, Commander.
stability damage and marks it unsteady.
Waiting on
You
you,
dirty
Commander.
rat. Alright, let's take care of this guy. Got SRM, large laser, medium laser. Let's just blow a hole in this commando.
Right, Commander.
50 damage left on the CT with that first opening large laser hit to the torso, which is a good place to be. Let's see how much more we can do. Oh, large laser goes wide. All those weapons go wide. Whole lot of nothing.
Standing by.
Kraken suffering from a stability warning. Also, somehow can't quite get movement to close the gap on the commando, which is mildly annoying. If we go here, can we get both targets again? Yes, we can. Let's do that.
Acknowledged.
I've got the heat scale for it. Let's turn this small laser back on. I think I have the heat scale for it. Let's find out. A there. B there. B on the LRM. Seems alright. Seems good.
Confirmed. Firing.
Be great if we just pop that commando. Not so much. Kintaro's running real hot, so it's probably not going to get a second full salvo shot off on my catapults over there. Take some smattering of indirect long-range LRM fire.
Standing by.
That said, I have no intention of letting this Kintaro get the first shot off, so I need to move to a position that doesn't suck. This position isn't great. We're going to have to go back to medium lasers as the option. Arclight doesn't have multi-target, which suddenly is a skill that I'm finding I kind of want to have.
Understood.
Especially for a lot of these builds of mechs where you have a brace of short-range weapons and then you have an LRM, a sizable LRM or two. Multi-target's turning out to be a real nice bonus to have for those sorts of mechs. Do we light him up? Do we just let her rip with all these LRMs and say to hell with it on the damage reduction they're getting and the very, very poor hit chances? Sure, why not?
I'm
Again,
taking the shot.
everything's a damage race. So if you've got the headroom, apply the damage, even if it's low percentage
Waiting
chances.
for orders.
All right, so what do we want our trebuchet to do? I think actually we would love to join in on this Rock'em Sock'em Robots party. Those numbers aren't great. Can we improve the LRM numbers at all? Yes, with only a modest hit to the numbers for the medium lasers. That Kintaro is remarkably fresh for the amount of weapon fire I've thrown at it. Cover, ladies and gentlemen, cover continues to be a thing. Hey, shutdowns. All right, that's a problem. Let's go into overheat.
Target locked.
So it's worth pointing out at this point in the match, the thing that I set myself up for, which was pilots with high tactics for good sensor bubbles. You will notice that is completely obviated at this point.
Minimal damage
There
on that
is
hit.
no leveraging of that at this point. And that's, you are going to find in the playing of the game of BattleTech that happens a lot. Engagements do not stay at range. Engagements close very often. Doubly so if you're running a support style lance. Things will move up into your face, whether you like it or not. You are going to have to deal with that fact. I've got just enough. Got plenty of heat scale here.
This should be good.
Ooh, that's a good shot. Got the SRM 6.
When I shoot you, you'll take it
And he's
like
down to
it.
6 structure on the center torso. Kintaro choosing to instead fire on my commando across the way.
Reporting. Structural damage.
Makes me lose my right arm, but that's fine.
Ready for orders.
Yeah, whatever. It is whatever. Now I have the opportunity to walk right up on this commando. Which is funny because I don't actually want to punch the commando. I want to just shoot it. I want to take multiple chances at getting its center torso.
Roger.
So let's take a look at this. Overheat warning. In a weird twist of fate, what I really want to do, so again, damage race, damage equipment. In the damage race, the idea is you want to eliminate enemy mechs. If I want to eliminate this enemy mech, it has 6 center torso structure. So I want to do 2 things. I want to be putting shots on this that can muster that amount of damage. 6 is pretty trivial. But more importantly, I want to leverage as many shots at that center torso as I can get. So in a weird twist, I think to avoid overheating, you have one of 2 options. You have actually a couple options. You can remove the large laser, clearly. You can move the medium laser. That works. You can move the LRM-10. And I would actually argue, in this specific example, in this specific case, remove the large laser. And the reason is the medium laser can get a kill. The medium laser can get a kill. The small laser can get a kill. So each of these we're going to keep those, and they're relatively low heat. The large laser can get a kill, but you can see the heat is pretty substantial. The LRM can get the kill with 2 missiles striking the center torso. Now, the odds aren't great, but because we're spraying 10 missiles, we are giving ourselves more opportunities for the missiles that hit to try and hit the center torso. The large laser, with its single shot, has a very high likelihood that it hits something inconsequential. An arm, a leg, the side torso. If we happen to hit the right torso, that damage transfers into the center and it will kill it. But I think I think the play here is take the spray of shots and hope a couple of those missiles land to the center torso. Let's find out.
I copy.
I'm not sure what did it, but we got it.
Down.
Kataro's being salty.
Reporting light
Look at that. He
damage.
moved right up next to my catapult. Right up next to it.
Commander?
Oh boy, are we going to fix that problem. Come here, you. I'm going to punch him square between the shoulder blades. Bleed some heat in the process. Good start. Oh, that is a great start.
Hit something good.
Ammo explosion takes off the side torso. Oh
Aye, aye.
boy. Let's continue the pummeling, shall we? Yeah, strip an entire side off of that Kintaro. Make it pay the price for getting too close. And then takes a shot to the center torso.
Commander?
Things going firmly in our favor for our sensor jockey team.
Coordinates received.
Our poor beleaguered commando, minus its large laser. It's going to have to just take shots with what it's got left. Doing work. Catching a knockdown. Oh boy. This Kintaro is having a bad day. Somehow still getting spotted for LRMs though.
I'm wounded.
Need to hunt that guy down and put an autocannon around through its cockpit.
Commander?
Speaking of which, let's go do that. This seems like a relatively forward position to work from. Can we get some sort of spotting? Anything? Sensors? Kraken? Kraken? Really? Not even a sensor blip? You're killing me, Smalls. Alright,
I'm here.
let's...
I'm here.
You know, we have all these guns. And we have all of this called shot to make. And that center torso is a great, great option. It's 101 damage left to kill the Kintaro through its center torso, but we have a lot of damage coming, even with the LRMs at a bad 2-hit number.
Confirmed.
There you go.
Destroyed.
Damage race being pretty firmly won here. My team
Yes, Commander.
doing a good job of taking out the things that closed the gap on us. Mockingbird's going to move up. Let's find out where our fourth contestant is hiding. Seriously? Where is this guy? Oh, wow. He is all the way... Is that right?
Good to go.
Alright, let's find this out definitively. Let's send... Yeah, we'll keep him out of cover.
Double time.
Want to make sure this isn't some sort of phantom sensor blip that just remained there from earlier in the game. I don't think it is.
Standing by.
I think that might actually be...
Confirmed.
That might actually be the mech. Let's find out. Just at the outside edge of Kraken sensor bubble. Sure enough, that's where the Griffin was hiding. Interesting. So the Griffin jumped up onto a big ol' hill, which gave it this beautiful, beautiful line of sight down into the valley below. And so long as it had a spotter, it was able to fire its LRMs at us. Unfortunately for him, we took away all his spotters in pretty
Reading you.
pretty convincing fashion. So, what do we want to do now? We want to close the gap on this guy. Ideally without putting ourselves in too many lines of sight. And honestly, we could just go counter battery on this guy.
Aye, aye.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up a bit. Because what I want, there we go. So it's hard to tell. Yeah. Yeah, so this line way out here that's curving up onto the mountains is the outer edge of effective for my LRMs. He is just inside effective there. So I'm going to move up. And we're going to commence with the counter battery fire. Witness. I do not want you in line of sight. I want you to sensor lock things. Like right there. That guy. Yeah, that guy right there. Trick is he going to move? Apparently he has forgotten how to battle mech.
I'm here.
Which is fine, I guess. Let's just begin the counter barrage. Somehow he's in it. No, he's bracing up there. I was gonna say somehow he found a single tree to hide behind up there, but can I get a move that gets me somewhere useful? And my trebuchet's in pretty good shape. Let's just put her into this small copse of trees and take our shots. Ooh, we can actually get there with the lasers now, but I think we'll save the heat for the moment.
10-4.
Look at all those beautiful missiles striking true.
Standing by.
Alright, Arclight, please, if you would, continue
Roger.
the grisly work that we are doing here. 80s to hit, it seems pretty good. Seems alright. The cinematic explosion cam showing us that this Griffin is catching hell.
Good to go.
Alright, let's continue to move into good positions. This is a little unsafe for our commando, and honestly, if I were trying to be conservative and safe, there's literally no reason for Witness to move this close, because all we're just going to do is continue to sensor lock with him. Until this Griffin moves down off of its perch. Oh, DFA. And that's why, yeah. The thinking is that the next turn I would move him out and shoot with the commando, but that clearly was a dangerous position to put him in. All right, so we need to work this guy now, and even though he's got a bajillion pips of movement modifier from that jump, you know what we can do? We can focus this guy down. Let's do this. I want to find out where my LRMs are in. Right there. Wow, that's okay. So what I'm looking for here is to make sure that my LRMs are not within minimum range, because your focus fire does not remove minimum range penalties. And I want to make sure that my entire salvo here strikes true. I'm giving up the small laser, but whatever. Throw focus on this.
Retreat.
And there is why we very carefully moved to where we did. Ignoring cover and 95s to hit across the board is a great place to start. Also, this is my preferred variant of the Griffin, which is not doing a good job of protecting its right side. Let's see. Is now the time to light him up? Ooh, those numbers are bad. Now is not the time to light him up. How about we just... What do we do? These 2 hit numbers are terrible to a fault, which is a problem. I want to move close enough that I can, you know, if I need to, then I can rush in with melee the next turn. You know what? I think Mockingbird in her trebuchet is now at a point where it's time to get personal. It's time to get close. It's time to demonstrate that the trebuchet is not afraid to get into short ranges.
Affirmative.
Yeah, there you go. Work it.
I'm here.
And our friend and mine, your friend and mine, Arclight in the
Confirmed.
catapult. Wow, are those numbers atrocious? Woof. Spare the heat for now. Some of the last salvo of LRMs. Kind of spread fire. You... Rat. Oh, witness, baby. I am so sorry I put you in this position. I'm going to have to break myself of some of these bad habits of putting things in danger near the end of matches, because when we do eventually get this single-player campaign, I'm going to need to really, really...
On my way.
Crud. Misclick. Alright, well, it already went, so
Ready for orders.
this isn't getting much worse. Got some heat to bleed. Let's make it there. Gotta break myself of some of these habits come single player time, because cost of repairs is going to be a thing, so
Orders.
develop good habits early is what I'm saying.
Position confirmed.
Continue to let Kraken use his good gunnery and work that weak right side. There you go. And now the Griffin has no guns. Missing a leg. 87 structure left in the center torso. This game is
Standing by.
all but over at this point.
Copy that.
You know what? These missiles ain't gonna fire themselves. We have heat headroom to use them and a knockdown target to leverage them on. And yet we still didn't quite get there.
Long-range missiles are out.
All right, witness.
Commander?
Here's your opportunity. Punch that mofo out. 15 CT. You've got 35 damage on a melee, even with one broken leg and a missing arm. Get in there. Get in there, man. And you hit the opposite side torso.
I'm here.
This is why Witness is a sensor jockey and not a mech pugilist. Speaking of pugilism, let's just... Oh, you know what? We probably have plenty of heat... Oh, never mind. We don't have plenty of heat scale. Let's just end this. Done and done.
Objective complete.
4-0 on the enemy team with our quartet of sensor jockeys. What kinds of things have we learned here today? So, the difference between a good tactics pilot with regard to sensors and a bad tactics pilot with regard to sensors. Your sensor bubble will be between anywhere between. It was hard to pick exactly the range bonus you get, but it's on the order of 4 to 12 movement increments beyond what your field of vision is going to show. Somewhere in that range, which is pretty significant. I mean, that is about the range bracket of most weapons, going from optimal to effective versus effective to maximum range. You pick up more information. We were able to get right away in that match 25 ton, 55 ton, 55 ton, 55 ton. And that was without even activating a sensor lock. It lets you leverage your sensor locks much earlier, which is helpful. We caught that first Shadowhawk out on the roadway in like the second or third turn, and applied full unablated LRM damage to it before it could get to cover, which was a good start. But you will note that the majority of that match was spent at mid-short range. And this is a thing that is going to happen again and again and again in your BattleTech games. BattleTech is a game where, because there is no crowd control, air quotes, crowd control, things can move however you would like them to move, and there's nothing stopping things from moving. Mechs will move up on you. Tanks will move up on you. They will close to short range. So there comes a point where having additional sensor range from tactics is just not useful. So I think what the recommendation is, if you're going to be playing either in multiplayer or in the single player that comes in the form of the campaign, and it seems pretty obvious to say it, bring a good mix of pilots. Bring a pilot that has good tactics so that you can at least have one pilot that gets you early spotting capability. If not to fire at things with, say, sensor locks and LRMs, to at least start to see where the enemy units are coming from, what they are, and then you can arrange your positions accordingly. And then with the rest of your team, pick pilots that are appropriate to the chassis. You know, for instance, I don't know that I would have picked Arclight for Catapult on any other given day. The Catapult is carrying the most guns in this lance. You want to be able to leverage them appropriately. High gunnery skill. The Trebuchet and the Centurion, kind of mid-range, middle pack. You know, they've got some guns. Maybe compromise between gunnery and piloting, because you know the Centurion can very easily get into melee. It's built for that sort of thing. Trebuchet not so much, but it can engage at shorter ranges with the medium lasers. So bring a mix. Don't focus necessarily on all sensor jockeys. It seems like a really stupid, obvious thing to say out loud, but it's worth saying. A good mix of things is good. At least in terms of the pilots. In terms of the builds that you bring, you want to craft your lance in a way that is complementary, you know. This lance is very LRMs and medium lasers. You know, LRMs and medium lasers, LRMs and medium lasers, LRMs and mostly medium lasers with a large and a small. And then the commando as a spotter. A good complementary loadouts. You can stand back and fire LRM salvos and then close to medium laser range and do your work. Yeah. Informative. I think that I've learned a little bit more about some of the capabilities of these pilots from this. Sensor lock turning into a real strong option. Being able to, not just being able to spot things while they're still out of visual range, but the removal of 2 ticks of movement modifier is, I mean, I think it's only a 10% to hit difference, but it's putting a pilot in a commando here, for instance, where it wasn't necessarily going to be shooting at the target, and being able to just eliminate 2 movement modifier ticks with its action is real good. And then you get the bonus of being able to spot things from very, very far away. All in all, a good outing. I'm feeling good. It's Monday. I'm ready to rip into the week. So I hope that you are too. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be all for today's BattleTech in the morning. I am your student of the battlefield, Captain Nips. Wishing you a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful evening, and I will see all of you in the next video.